So what we're going to do here is kind of give a general discussion on different percussion caps. Kind of share what knowledge I've got about that, which certainly isn't as much as others have, but it's probably worth something to some folks, especially if the ones that are just starting out in the black powder shooting area with the black powder revolvers. Our caps are numbered differently according to their size, and 12s being the largest. The ones that are made as far as I know, and 10s are the smallest ones. Caps are in the orange box. They're called Alcans, and these are actually made in France. And I can read the price on this. It said I think $8.49 for 1,000, so less than a cent a piece. So we know these go back a ways. Look inside there. I probably got about 500 or so left. Well, I can pull one of those out, take a look at the way they're packaged. And these have been stored in less than perfect condition. There's a wrapper that was going around them. It says 100 G12F cap, percussion caps, caution, may explode, keep out of reach of children, made in France. Okay, I loosened it up, so let's take a look inside. And they look a lot like the ones that are being made now by Remington, CCI, as far as the size and basic construction. They have a little center section in there, kind of silver section where the powder is. Not sure if these are ones that are corrosive or not, but anyway, that's the look inside of this little tin here. We'll switch over to these, which were made in Italy. Again, these and the Alcans, I believe, go back into the 60s. Not real sure, but price on them might give us some indication. Okay, these definitely look different than the previous ones that we had. They're a little shorter cap, and I think they appear to be a little stouter. In other words, they're not quite as thin a brass or metal that they're made out of. And they don't have discs in them. It looks, well, they might have discs in them, but that looks like powder that's impregnated onto maybe onto the back of the metal cap itself. Third ones we've had for a while are RWS caps. I believe these are German caps, and these are still sealed, so we're not going to open those up. So we'll put these three aside because we're not going to deal with these. One of the reasons is all caps right now are tough to get, but these probably be close to impossible here. These would be possible, I'm guessing, but they're kind of pricing themselves out maybe for most guys. So we're going to deal with the CCIs and also the Remingtons. And the CCIs and Remingtons come in two sizes as far as I know. The number 10 caps, both in Remington and the CCI, and they're not quite the same size. I can get into that in a bit here, but then the Remingtons also come in 11, and so do the CCIs. A little difference, there's some difference in appearance here. The CCIs have kind of a more gold shine to them. Remingtons have a green section towards the back, and the CCIs I think kind of have a reddish powder charge in those. And I mentioned the size varies a little even though they're both number 10s. Got a cylinder here that's out of a Pietta, and it really likes the number 10 Remington. So I'll take out one of the nipples here and we'll have a look, see if there's any difference between the 10s in the CCI and the 10s in the Remingtons. Okay, we'll grab out one of our Remingtons. And this will be number 10. And we'll see how that fits on our nipple here out of the Pietta. Okay, we could measure the distance it goes down, but it goes down pretty much all the way, and now it's starting to tighten up, so okay. And next up would be one of the CCIs. Again, this is number 10. Well, it fits on, but now this doesn't go as far down. So it might take a whap of the hammer the first time to get this thing to seat down, and then the second time it may go off, or it may not go off at all, depending on, because these nipples are tapered just a tad. So that's why this is able to fit for the first distance, but not not go back any further. As long as we got our number 10 Pietta out here, let's grab a number 11 of the CCIs and we'll see how that fits. Okay, fits almost like the number 10 Remingtons did. And it might be a little looseness there. I'm going to feel that better with the finger. Okay, yeah. It's able to go down, but it's not going to stay on that. Not going to stay on that nipple. People have pinched these a little bit to get them to stick, but that's really not the way you'd like to see it. So on the CCIs, on these Piettas, it seems like a number 10, a little too small, and 11 just a little too big. Let's go with 11 Remington. Okay, I can turn that. And no problems pulling that on and off. So it appears number 11 Remington is also a little too large. So we grabbed the cylinder off the second generation 1851 Colt here that was made back in the 80s, and I've some experience with these things. If I remember correctly, number 10 CCIs is what we're using on these. Remember, this 10 CCI would not go on the current Pietta ones. And let's take a check on this. Yeah, all the way on. And I think we even had to pinch those then in that time, because what are you going to do here? You don't go to a 9 because I don't think anybody makes them, and that's too large. And that 10 CCI is as small as far as I know, that's as small as the percussion caps come. So that's the situation there was with the second gen Colts, at least the one we've got here from back in the 80s. Here's another second generation Colt, actually matched to that other one. In fact, the serial numbers are consecutive on these. This one, somebody foolishly tried to bore out the original cylinder on it. That person was me at that time back in the 80s. So it would shoot a 3.7 or 3.80 ball instead of 3.75s. Anyway, we ordered a replacement cylinder for this one, and they came out of the Signature series that Colt was making a little later on, I think back in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, not sure when those are being made, but this cylinder will take the nipples out of that and see if they've changed any. So one thing I noticed in taking it out, it's got a hex pattern, I think, or is it 4 sides? No, it looks like a hex pattern, something like the Rubers have got on there, so your nipple wrench does fit on it, but it's a little loose. Okay, here comes a number 10 CCI, which, remembering back on the other cylinder here we had, that was too large on those nipples. And let's see what it does on this one. Well, I'm barely able to get it to start on there. So, things changed there. Alright, let's go up to number 10 Remington. See how it likes those. Okay, that's going to be a decent fit, I think. 10 Remington and 11 Remington should be too large, I think. I can turn that on there, so it doesn't fit too bad, but a little bit too large there. Probably the same for the number 11 CCIs. Right. So best choice on that nipple is gonna be the number 10 Remington. It's interesting because they're older gen guns did actually could put a number 10 CCI on, and it's actually too large, and they switched over here, so number 10 does not fit on that one. Well, here's an 1851 Army San Marco, and we put some slick shot nipples on there, so let's take one of those out. And those are using number 10 Remingtons real well, but we'll take one out and see how they fit. Okay, here's our slick shot nipple, and if the camera shows it, you can see a little hole in there. Well, actually, I mean 2 holes, 3 actually, on each side, and then there's your main one. Let's try number 10 CCI on this and see if I got any chance of that going. Yeah, no way. Okay. Number 10 Remington. These, by the way, are not tapered, and some of the other ones that I had on here a minute ago were tapered. These look like they're straight. There's your number 10 Remington. Oh yeah, that pushes on just fine. And if I turn that in a little bit, she's nice and tight. So I think that's a good fit, and that's what I've been doing there. And of course our number 11 Remington's going to be a little large on that. Okay. Not really that bad though. Wouldn't be afraid to use number 10, number 11 Remingtons, if that's what you've got. Not a lot of difference between these number 11 Remingtons and the number 10s really. Let's try our number 11 CCI. Okay, maybe we'll take that all the way to the bottom and turn it some. It's actually staying on pretty well. I would think that number 11s would also run on these. I want to say, for those who might not be familiar with the slick shot nipples, those are not standard. They did not come standard on this Pietta 1851, but you can order these things out. They're a kind of an aftermarket cap, or an aftermarket, not cap, but nipples, but they are available. I still think they're still available right now. So you can get these for either the Piettas, which is a different thread than the Ubertis. Ubertis and these old Colt second generations and things, a lot of those are all the same thread, but Pietta uses a metric one. And this has definitely got to be an older gun. We purchased this online. Well, I'm not sure what age it is. It says XXY on that, and the X's, those kind of Roman numeral things, whatever they're using here, they quit about the 70s, early 70s, somewhere's in there. So I'm thinking it's back in the 60s, maybe 70s, somewhere's in there. Anyway, let's check those nipples and see what those are as far as size. You couldn't see the rest of it. Here's our number 10 CCI going on that. Goes right down to the bottom, and I can still turn it. So just like our second gen Colt, that number 10, which is the smallest of the percussion caps, would be just a tad big for this nipple here. Here's one of the earlier Ubertis. It's not a real early gun, but it's probably made in the 80s, maybe 84, 85 somewhere. And we'll take that cylinder out and check that one. I have a neat cylinder. I think it's a charcoal blue. So here we got the nipple out and see what that one does. Here's our number 10 CCI. Okay, right down to the bottom. Yeah, I can turn that one also. So that's running the same size nipples as our second gen Colt and the other older Italian gun that we just had. And as long as we're talking Uberti, let's see what the more modern one do. This is about 2019. We'll take the cylinder out of this 1860 and see what those are doing. Okay, got that nipple out. Let's grab a 10. Get a 10 CCI and start with that one. Well, it just barely starts on there. I'm kind of thinking that CCI must not have been too happy when somebody changed the size of those nipples, because a lot of things don't fit there anymore. Alright, let's go to our number 10 Remington here. Right, it's going down about the right distance, and I can't turn that when I get her down. So that one's going to like a number 10 Remington. And our number 10 CCIs ought to be just a tad large, but it might work. Now they're spinning on that, so that's not, I mean, yeah, you can pinch them, but correct size for that's going to be our number 10 Remington again. So I believe we'll stop here, and hopefully some of the information that we've given here will be useful, and everybody have a good time shooting and stay safe.